What separates the man who wins from the man who merely wishes to win? It is not knowledge alone. It is not circumstance, nor is it luck. The single most powerful factor that determines whether or not a man receives the reward he seeks is his decision to refuse to quit. For when a man decides, truly decides, that he will persist no matter how long it takes, the universe itself moves to respond, because a made-up mind has magnetic power. Now, understand this truth. The reward will not come on the day you think you've earned it. It will come on the day you no longer need it to keep going. The moment your faith becomes stronger than your frustration, the moment your effort becomes detached from short-term applause, that is when the tide turns in your favor. Until then, the process is not punishing you. It is preparing you. Every man faces the same voice. This is not working. It's taking too long. You're not cut out for this. That voice does not speak truth. It speaks testing. And if you listen to it, if you let it dominate your decisions, you surrender not just your progress, but your power. That voice does not go away by being ignored. It goes away by being overruled. Overruled with action. Overruled with discipline. Overruled by a heart so certain of the goal that quitting sounds like insanity. You see, it's not about how hard you hit. It's about how long you continue. A punch may start the fight, but it is persistence that wins the war. Every step you take without evidence of success builds an internal foundation that the outside world cannot see but will one day feel. That's the irony. You build the strongest part of you in the dark. You build your power when no one claps. You build your identity when the reward is nowhere in sight. And identity, my friend, is what guarantees the outcome. When you persist long enough, you stop being the man who wants the dream and become the man who is worthy of it, not in word but in deed. The reward recognizes the man who acts as if he's already chosen, the man who works when others wait, who commits when others consult their emotions, who walks with certainty because he no longer negotiates with failure. And yes, failure will visit, often. But here's what I want you to write into your soul. Failure only becomes permanent when you stop moving. As long as you're moving, as long as you're adjusting, refining, learning, then failure is just feedback. It is information. It is the universe helping you sharpen your edge. You will only lose if you stop sharpening. And what is sharpening if not persistence in motion? To keep showing up, to keep building, to keep thinking from victory even when defeat knocks. Because this is how the subconscious mind is reprogrammed. Through repetition, through belief backed by action, through an obsession with a result so complete that quitting becomes not just uncomfortable, it becomes impossible. So now I ask you, where have you made quitting too easy? Where have you allowed yourself to justify mediocrity because it was more convenient than climbing the mountain? You must close the escape routes. You must burn the ships. You must stop keeping quitting in your back pocket like a secret option. That's not strategy, that's sabotage. The mind responds to finality. When it knows there is no way back, it forges new ways forward, but if you always leave a back door open, your courage will leak through it. You must declare, I will finish. I will walk this out to the end, and I will do it whether the wind is at my back or in my face. I will persist because I have made the decision that I am no longer available for retreat. And once that decision is made, you will feel a new strength rise within you. Not because the road got easier, but because you got heavier. Your commitment got denser. Your emotions got quieter. Your vision got clearer. You begin to walk with the presence of a man who is no longer trying. You are doing, and doing daily, especially when motivation is absent, is what creates the pull of the reward. You stop chasing the reward, it starts chasing you. The law of compensation begins to activate. And suddenly doors begin to open, not because you knocked louder, but because you knocked longer. People say they want to win, but most of them only want to win until it gets hard. The real winners are those who decide, I'm staying no matter what. I'm building whether I'm seen or not. I'm becoming the kind of man success must obey. And success does obey that kind of man. Success does not resist the persistent. It resists the erratic. It resists the emotional. It resists the entitled, but it responds to the consistent, the calm, the man who has already decided and simply refuses to be moved. Are you that man? Because if you are, then you must eliminate the small habits that whisper inconsistency. You must stop showing up based on mood. You must stop needing evidence to take the next step. You must become the man who moves on command, not emotion's command, but purpose's command. You must become the man whose inner world is so fixed on the destination that the terrain no longer determines the tempo. And when that happens, the reward cannot help but appear. But it will not come early. It will come when, and only when, you no longer need it to prove you're worthy. You already know. You already walk in conviction. You already move with peace. And that peace, that calm, unshakable certainty is the most magnetic force in the world, because it tells life, I am ready. And life listens. Now let me be clear. This is not about force. This is not about burnout. Persistence is not grinding until your soul breaks. True persistence is graceful. It flows from belief, not desperation. It moves with clarity, not chaos. It trusts that the seed you planted will grow, but it waters it anyway. It expects results, but shows up whether or not they're visible. That is how kings are built. That is how legends are made. That is how the uncommon man lives, not in a burst of energy, but in a rhythm of resolve. And the reward, it bows to rhythm. It honors those who remain faithful. Not once, not sometimes, but always. So if you are tired, good. That means you're in the middle of something great. That means the old you is dying. That means the resistance is getting scared. But don't you dare slow down now. Don't you dare let weariness speak louder than destiny. You've already survived the hardest part, deciding. Now finish what you started. You see, finishing is not about luck, and it's never about timing. It's about identity. If you persist long enough, you will find yourself shedding layer after layer of weakness, fear, and dependency on external praise. And that shedding is necessary, because the man who finishes must be free. Free from the need to feel ready, free from the need to be validated, free from the illusions of overnight success. The finisher is not addicted to comfort, he is loyal to cause. So I say to you now, you cannot persist if your eyes are always on the clock. If you are constantly measuring how long it's taking, you've already made quitting an option. You've attached your peace to the speed of progress rather than the certainty of outcome. But the man who expects the reward, who knows the law of compensation cannot be violated, walks with patience that most mistake for madness. He is not slow, he is anchored. That's the power of purpose. It makes a man immune to panic. It gives him the clarity to keep planting, even in a season where no growth is visible. Why? Because he is not reacting, he is acting in faith. And faith, when linked to action, is the most potent force a man can possess. I have told you before, and I will say it again. You do not need to feel strong to act strong. You must only act as if the outcome is already guaranteed, because in truth it is, if you refuse to stop. You cannot outrun the laws of cause and effect. Whatever you do consistently with belief and emotional intensity must eventually manifest. The law does not fail, but men do. They fail when they stop. They fail when they allow impatience to convince them the process is broken. But the process is never broken. It is building you. It is removing the weaker version of yourself. It is breaking the dependency on praise. It is silencing the excuses. It is producing a man who cannot be denied, not by failure, not by delay, not by silence. That is who you are becoming. And the more you persist, the more you begin to understand that the journey is not just about achievement, it is about alignment. You begin to realize that the reason you're here is not just to accomplish something, but to become someone. A man whose mind is governed by discipline, a man whose tongue speaks only life, a man whose footsteps are steady and undeterred, a man who even in his lowest moments moves as if the finish line is already behind him. Now listen carefully. You will be tempted. You will be tempted to shrink, to slow down, to question whether the reward is even real. That's part of the training. You are being asked, do you want this bad enough to keep moving even when it looks like nothing is working? That question must be answered with action, not with declarations, not with affirmations, but with the relentless continuation of the task in front of you. And if you answer with action, consistently, daily, unwaveringly, then you begin to earn a new level of power, the power of momentum. Momentum is not built in your highest moments. It is built in your quietest. It is born in the days when nothing around you looks promising, but you press on anyway. It is carved from discipline. It is fueled by faith. And once it's gained, it will carry you further than motivation ever could. The reward shows up at the doorstep of those who work like it's already in the room. That's how the invisible becomes visible. That's how dreams materialize. Not through obsession with what you lack, but through gratitude for the process and loyalty to the goal. And loyalty must be proven, not spoken. Every act of consistency is a declaration. I am loyal to the vision. And make no mistake, the world will test your loyalty. You will be offered faster paths, easier paths, more comfortable paths, but all of them come with a price, the erosion of your identity. And if you take them, you may feel relief, but you will forfeit your reward, because the reward is not random, it is precise. It only lands where it is earned, and it is earned through resolve. You must understand the depth of what resolve really is. Resolve is not just trying again. It is closing every option except forward. It is deciding once and never revisiting that decision again. It is eliminating doubt by starving it of oxygen. When you resolve, you do not wait to see how you feel. You move because you've already chosen who you are. That level of internal command is rare. It is why so few men ever live lives that match their potential. They are too easily swayed, too easily delayed, too easily satisfied with survival. But you, if you're listening with the ears of a builder, if you're hearing these words not as theory but as truth, then you know. You were not made for mere survival. You were born to build. You were born to complete. You were born to walk the full distance. And when you do, when you walk far enough, you begin to hear a new sound. It is the sound of alignment. Your thoughts begin to echo your actions. Your actions begin to match your destiny. And your destiny begins to feel like the only logical outcome. No more hesitation. No more should I continue. Now it is, how much more can I give? Not from pressure, but from power. You've crossed the line. You're no longer someone who is trying to win. You are someone who already has, because in the mind, the victory was settled before the results arrived. That's how the great ones operate. They live from belief, they act from conviction, they persist from identity, and when they fall, they do fall. They rise not because someone tells them to, but because they can't stay down. They don't know how to quit. It was erased from their soul long ago. And that, more than any technique, any secret, any book, is what separates the man who lives with peace and prosperity from the man who dies with regret. It is not in the talent. It is in the tenacity. And tenacity is trained. Tenacity is chosen. Tenacity is fed daily by doing what must be done, regardless of the mood, the praise, or the result. So the next time you feel tempted to quit, ask yourself this: if I stop now, what happens to the man I was becoming? What happens to the future I said I wanted? What happens to the reward that is watching me, waiting for me, tracking my every step? Will I forfeit it because it took longer than I hoped? Or will I become the man who is worthy simply because I outlasted every excuse? The answer must be your action, not your hope, not your promise, your action. And if you take that action again tomorrow and again the next day something incredible begins to happen. You stop chasing success. Success starts to trust you. It begins to flow your way. It begins to show up in ways you didn't expect, because now you are aligned. And alignment, my friend, is not mystical. It is practical. It is the natural outcome of persistent, focused, unrelenting belief matched with behavior. That's where we are now. That's who you are now. So finish the task. Honor your word. Keep walking, because the man who refuses to quit never needs to chase the reward. The reward comes to him. There is a moment in every journey where the reward begins to feel inevitable. Not because the external evidence proves it, but because the internal foundation is now unshakable. When you've built that foundation, you don't need signs, you become the sign. You walk in a different rhythm, you think in a different dimension, you breathe conviction. And conviction, not chance, creates the environment in which rewards flourish. Most men want success to confirm their identity. But the man who finishes, he lets his identity create success. He doesn't look for proof, he acts like proof. Because he's seen enough, he's been in the trenches. He knows the law. He knows the nature of sowing and reaping. He knows that the reward cannot bypass the man who has done the work in full. So he walks, not with arrogance, but with authority. Authority does not beg. Authority does not hesitate. Authority does not worry when things look still on the surface. Authority keeps building, keeps becoming, because it knows that the reward isn't something you wait for, it's something you grow into. And as you persist, you grow into it. Every unseen act of discipline pushes you forward. Every early morning, every late night, every decision to show up again builds the architecture of success within your soul. And when that structure is complete, nothing can deny it. But it will take time. It will take silence. It will take seasons where the only voice you hear is your own, and that voice better be filled with fire. Because if you're waiting for applause to validate you, you will quit when the audience is absent. But if you've chosen to validate yourself, if you've chosen to link your identity to the process and not the outcome, then you'll walk like a man who is already there, even when it's still far away. That's what the reward respects. The reward does not come to the man who begs. It comes to the man who belongs. The question is, have you become him? The reward will never exceed your own belief in your worthiness. You can only attract what you're equal to in discipline, clarity, and consistency. If the reward is still missing, it is not being withheld from you. It is being withheld for you. It is being refined until you are fully prepared to receive it. And preparation happens in the moments most men waste. It happens when you work when no one's watching. It happens when you speak life over your goals, even when doubt knocks louder. Persistence is not only action, it is attitude. You cannot persist externally if you constantly surrender internally. You must train your mind to expect miracles. You must convince yourself that nothing in this universe is more powerful than a made-up mind. Because once your mind is fixed, your fate is fixed, your reality has no choice but to obey. Now listen to me, there is a cost to persistence, but the cost of quitting is far higher. Quitting will cost you your self-respect. It will cost you the future you saw once so clearly. It will cost you your story. And if you quit often enough, you will convince yourself that you were never capable in the first place. That's the most dangerous part when quitting becomes your identity. You may still talk big, you may still dream loud, but inside you've agreed with defeat, you've accepted mediocrity. And once that agreement is made, no success technique can save you. You must break that agreement. You must renounce the idea that your life can be left to chance. You must remove your name from the list of those who almost made it. You must tell yourself every day that the man who refuses to quit cannot be denied. And then you must prove it through action. Nothing in this world respects theory without application. The universe does not respond to potential. It responds to persistence. To the man who keeps hammering, even when the wall doesn't budge. To the man who keeps climbing even when the peak is covered in fog. To the man who keeps believing because he decided to, not because his emotions gave him permission. That man is rare. That man is dangerous. That man is you, if you choose it. You've come too far to turn back now. You've invested too much to ask if it's worth it. You've given time, thought, energy, heart, and you must finish not just for the reward, but for what it says about who you are. You must finish to prove to yourself that you are not like the rest, that you do not fold. That when the world gets loud, you get louder in silence. There will be moments when it would feel easier to disappear, to fall back into comfort, to say, I tried. But trying is not finishing. And in this life, only finishers are crowned. Trying may earn you sympathy. Finishing earns you respect. Trying may let you feel like you almost had it. Finishing makes you undeniable. And the difference between trying and finishing? Persistence. One more rep. One more call. One more conversation with yourself in the mirror saying, I will do this. That's where the breakthrough lives. Right after most men stop. Right after most men retreat. Right after most men settle. And it waits for you. So do not stop. Not because the reward is guaranteed to the emotional man, but because the reward is guaranteed to the persistent man. It is written in law. It is wired into the fabric of success. And no delay, no detour, no difficulty can prevent the arrival of what you've earned, so long as you do not let your foot off the gas. Think about this. How many men around you quit before the miracle? How many men gave up just days, hours, decisions before the shift? And how many of them now carry the weight of wondering what could have been? You will not be that man, because you know too much now. You know how this works. You know that the reward is not random, it is responding. And you know that the man who refuses to quit cannot lose. He cannot. Because every action he takes compounds. Every decision to continue becomes a brick in the castle of his future. And every ounce of pain he bears becomes power that no man can take from him. So what's next? Simple. Continue. Today. Again. No matter how you feel. Rebuild the energy if you've lost it. Recenter the vision if you've wandered. Refocus the commitment if it's grown cold. But whatever you do, do not stop. Because the man who keeps going, he always sees the reward. It may not arrive the way he imagined. It may not come with the music and the spotlight. But it comes. And it brings with it everything he fought for. Peace. Confidence, provision, purpose, power, and most of all, a deep, unshakable certainty that he has become the man he was always meant to be. That is the final reward, and it belongs to you. If you refuse to quit,